I'd never want to make those people again. It has been a while since I have done a book review video. So today we are doing a book review, and I am doing Christmas books. And these are all amigurumi Christmas books. We are doing a total of 5 books. 3 of them are amazing, wonderful books that I highly recommend. 2 of them, don't. Just don't. But let's start with my favorite ones. Now, y'all know I do love me a gnome. I have a bunch of gnomes back here. I have continued making gnomes in the background here, and I wanted to try these books because I had seen them floating around. This particular designer has quite a few gnome books, and I had yet to try any, and I bought 2. One of them she just released, and the other one has been out about a year or so, something like that. I think I first started seeing her books last year. And her name is Mariia Ermolova. It is these 2 books that I am looking at today. These are both Christmas gnome books, and they are really great books. I was thinking maybe they weren't going to be very good quality, but she writes wonderful patterns. The books themselves are not like the books you get from Meteor Books, where you have the slick pages and the binding is really great. These are, I believe, self-published books, but they're great books. She really is a wonderful designer. One of the things I love about how she writes these patterns is whenever you are supposed to sew something on in a particular place, to mark that place for you, she has you do back loop stitches. So the front loops are sticking out on the arms specifically. You could actually make your arms ahead of time, and then when you get to that spot, just sew them in as you're building up the piece. Or she actually starts top down on all of her pieces, which I actually really like. It makes the bottoms a lot more stable and flat when you build them top down, at least in my opinion with some of these. It might be different with some others, but I really like how stable they are. The first book she released is this one. And out of this book, I made this guy. Isn't he cute? He is a snowman. He's a really top-heavy snowman. He is so cute. I just love this hat. And it's supposed to kind of lean. And when you stuff and you make them, you're not supposed to stuff the hat a whole lot, but leave more of the stuffing in the body, which was hard. I admit that part was hard to do because you're trying to pack it all in there the best you can. So the bottom isn't quite as stuffed as I would like because I was too worried about making it too stuffed up here. I did end up gluing a lot of pieces on. I glued this red part on, the leaves, the bells, the scarf I glued on. I sewed his nose on, but then I secured it a little bit with some glue here around. And I use my quick dry Fabri-Tac glue, which I have a link for down below. If you don't have that glue, I would really recommend it. It's a fabric glue, but it dries really fast. It strings, unfortunately, kind of like hot glue. It does have the spider webs, but it dries fast and it doesn't get hard, quite like hot glue does. It's a more malleable glue, which is wonderful when you're working with something like this. You don't want it to be just hard and, you know, where you can chip a nail touching it. It's not like that. It works so well. I highly recommend getting some of it. His name is Sir Snows-a-Lot because he likes big hats and he cannot lie because his hat is big. I thought that was a cute name. It suits him. He seems a little like he's into some 80s rap. I could see that with him. He's definitely going to be in the background here. I don't know if I'm going to be able to put him up at the end of Christmas though, because I really like him a whole lot. Some other patterns in this book I really like is the reindeer gnome. I just love the little antlers and his little hat and red nose with this little beard he's got. I just love it. And plus that beard is crocheted. It is not that terrible string stuff. I have told y'all, I hate those beards. They are the bane of my existence, so I love this. I also really like the gingerbread gnome. He's just so cute in it. You know, he's food, and I like food. Sweet food, especially. I really like that. And this has frosting. Frosting is really my favorite. I could care less about the cookie if something has frosting on it. I'm there. I'm there for it. And this guy, he's coated in frosting, which it speaks to me. It just does. I'm a chubby girl and I like sugar, and that's my kind of guy right there. There's another snowman in here I really like, and he's basically the same as Sir Snows-a-Lot, except this guy's hat is a lot smaller. He's not as flashy and stuck in the 80s quite as this guy is. He's a little bit more hipster is what I would call him. He's got kind of that little hipster sort of hat going on, but he's very cute, along with the Santa and Mrs. Claus. They each have glasses, and the way they sit on their face, it kind of tickles me. It's like their eyes are in the back of their hair, and it's so cute. I highly recommend this book and her other book that she just released. Again, this is very similar patterns. She does the back loop stitch to help you know where to add your pieces. And the one I made out of this book is this guy. It's a chef. And I haven't said it on here, but I have a slight obsession with the Muppets and the Sesame Street characters. Not the current Sesame Street characters. No. I am prior to Elmo. I love the original Sesame Street with Jim Henson and Frank Oz. I know way too much about the puppeteers and that period of time of the startup of Sesame Street and the Muppets. I have an illness. There is no question why I like making these little people. It's because I grew up on other little people. And this guy reminded me so much of the Swedish Chef from the Muppet Show. His anger, I loved his anger. It really, in his frustration, everything would go wrong. I get that. And so this guy, I had to make him. I did not put red berries here like it called for. I did pink because most likely this guy, he's going to be sitting out here for a while. I did not crochet these balls. I got my bag of balls and I glued them because I don't want to make tiny balls. I can glue balls that are already tiny. So that's what I did. In the pattern, he also had green pants and he had suspenders, but I didn't like that, so I wanted him to look more like he had an actual chef's coat on, and pink so he could stay out longer. He's got a chocolate ladle. Hobie, take note. Just chocolate, not hard candy, chocolate. I haven't given him a name. I was just assuming chef. He needs to just be chef. That's easy peasy. I also rosied up his cheeks a little bit with some crayon. And I love how she did the hat on this. I had never done this before. You create the circle, but you make pleats as you are sewing it together, and it was really neat. It wasn't hard. At first it was a little confusing, but I got it. I loved the look it gave. For his ladle, I actually have bamboo skewers in here to make it stand up straight, and I did glue him on also because this is a little bit top heavy, and I don't think sewing would have done a good enough job, so I glued him. This next book has actually been around a while. I have seen it for several years. It's not new. I think a lot of people already have this book, and it is Amigurumi Christmas Ornaments by Linda Wright. First, let me talk to y'all about Linda. Linda is prolific. I looked her up. Linda has a lot of books. They are not all amigurumi. She is the one who does the honey pie dolls. It's a book with a doll pattern and you're making all these accessories. That's Linda. Linda does those. Linda also has, I just need y'all to take a moment to appreciate this about Linda. Linda has a toilet paper origami book. She has 2. Toilet paper origami. Linda does that. I didn't know there was such a thing. I really didn't. And Linda has 2 books on how to do that in case you wanted to do those books. Or if you just have a fascination with folding toilet paper, Linda has you covered. Go check her out. And Linda also has adult coloring books. She basically has grayscale books. I don't know whether she is creating digital art and then turning it into books, or if she's already drawn things. I'm assuming it's digital art, but I'm not for sure. But she has several of those as well. She has got her hands in a lot of stuff, and I think that is very impressive. She is going from yarn to toilet paper to coloring books. That's a lot that Linda does. I am very impressed. This is, I believe, her only Christmas book. I could be wrong, because the other ones are dolls with themes, I believe. Anyways, This one has been out a while. It is all different kinds of ornaments. You'll see the decapitated heads of the nativity scene here on the front. And I'm going to tell you, I did not do those. And there's a reason why I did not do those, because when I had my business and I was making things for friends and stuff, I accidentally posted a photo of a nativity set I had made for one of my friends. And it was really cute, but it had Mary, Joseph, Jesus, a manger, 3 wise men, a shepherd, an angel, a donkey, a camel, a sheep, a star, and I had to design a stable for all of this. The stable part I made all up. When I showed that picture to my friends, I got 7 more orders. I did not believe the nativity set was going to go like wildfire. If I never make Mary, Jesus, Joseph again, I will be a happy person. I'd never want to make those people again. They are good people. Don't get me wrong. They're good folks, but I don't want to make them. So I certainly will not be making their decapitated heads and hanging them on a tree. I'm not going to do that. But she not only has them in here if you are into the nativity here, but she also has some animals that are from the nativity. She has a cow, a donkey, a sheep. There's an owl, a reindeer. She has a lot of really cute things. She also has Santa, Mrs. Claus, an elf. She does food ranging from truffles and candy canes and hard candies. And the thing that I made from her book was this little chocolate truffle because it's food and it was chocolate. And it had what I believe to be some pretty yummy frosting on there. And like I have said, I love frosting. You don't have to give me the food that the frosting is on. Just give me the frosting. I'm happy. And this has some of that on there. And it's chocolate. Win-win. But it's very cute, very easy. I worked this up last night. All of these patterns, I think, would easily be an hour, hour and a half, depending on the complexity of them. The only patterns I would consider to be a little bit more challenging would be some of the animals that she has in here, like the lion, the owl, the sheep, simply because she does the loop stitch for the hair and the mane and the wool, and that stitch is a little bit advanced, I think. But overall, a really great book, and I mean, let's just support Linda. Toilet paper origamiist and amigurumi designer extraordinaire. I'm proud of her. Let's talk about the 2 I don't want you to buy. Don't do it. And these are on Amazon. I don't know if they are anywhere else. I didn't look for them anywhere else, but I found them there. And one of them was actually a top pick, which no. Don't. This is the first one. And it's called Christmas Crochet Patterns. Now, the reason I say not to buy this book, this is an AI generated image that should tell you something. A lot of times now in the crochet world, if you are seeing AI generated images, a lot of times those are not actually crocheted items, or they are people that are creating images to post on Etsy and act like they are patterns, and they are not, and they are scamming people to get money. That's what this book is. This is an AI generated front, and every pattern in this book, I believe, is a stolen image. They have probably bought these patterns from somebody, or they have taken them from the internet where they found them somewhere else, and they have put them in this book. The other thing to point out is the reindeer on the cover of this book is not the actual reindeer that is in the book. Also, in some of the reviews that I read about the book, people are complaining that stitch counts, numbers are not correct a lot in this. So I'm assuming they probably copied the patterns incorrectly and made a lot of typo errors. There is no name given to any designer, any publisher, any person in this book. And that's another sign. If there's not a name associated with anything in the book, that's not good, because I would assume a pattern designer would want their name attached to whatever it is so they could get credit and people could go to them if they really like some of their pieces. That's not what's in here. Now, I was not able to find where a lot of these patterns were. I only looked on Etsy. Admittedly, that was just the time I had, but I'm sure if I scoured more places, I know I would find these patterns. And in this particular book, mostly what is in here are snowflakes, this doll that's on the front, the reindeer, the Santa and snowman, and a Christmas tree. That's all that's in this book. It's really not much. And I get mad thinking that somebody is profiting off of this, and this work is not theirs. So that just kind of makes me mad. So don't buy this one. This person's not getting my money, and I am going to be returning my books. This book is the other one not to buy, and it's called Christmas Amigurumi Books Crochet. Now, it doesn't have the like AI image on it, but almost every pattern in here, I was able to find the designer on Etsy, and their names are not listed with any of the patterns. For instance, this reindeer that is in here, it's a reindeer gnome. That is by Pampino Gnomes. Her name is not on the pattern. There's another one that is a Christmas ornament. I have that pattern. I bought it from the actual designer. She no longer has an Etsy shop, but her name is Happy Dolls Handmade. That's her pattern. Remember, I told you that I had some gnomes that had ball babies? That's one of the ball babies. They also have one here that is a dog in a mug. I found that Etsy designer, and her name is Dora Gina Toys. Her name is nowhere around this pattern. There's another ball baby in here that goes with this guy, and I have that pattern. These are all stolen. This particular one, I think it only had one review, and I don't think they had really made anything out of it. I just wanted y'all to be aware that these kinds of books are out there and they're wrong. I personally feel extremely guilty having patterns that the person who made them is not being compensated. That bothers me. I think that's everything for today. 5 books, 3 good ones, 2 don't. Just don't do those. I hope this has been somewhat helpful for those of you who are looking for any Christmas amigurumi books, or just looking for books to add to your hoard, like me. Thanks so much for joining me, and I will see you next time here on the Rumi Mill. Bye!